That's the cost of living crisis. Suddenly we went up from prices being around there to prices being there. And you don't really see that in this data, okay? Because inflation is really just measuring the difference between that and that. And if you look at those two lines, you're talking about a 2.3% change. That's the number we're talking about today. But for a lot of people, it's not about that. It's about the difference between this and that. And when you look at the difference between this and that, that's 20%. And I think that's the dichotomy here between these inflation numbers where it looks normal and this, which is really not normal at all. That's...
All right, and that is a really, really good explanation of what I always try to explain when I say that they change how they measure inflation. They literally measure this now. They're gonna just skip all of this. And if you look at owning a house or buying a house now, it's become a scam when you take all the property taxes, insurance, if you can get insurance, and this and that. I mean, they're really coming for you on this sector. With that said, I don't like this, and again, to use another word that the Democrats love, rhetoric coming out of this G7 meeting, now saying that Russia is a colonizer of its own people and all this bogus. So there's something to this. All these, it's probably going to end up being some sort of Cold War when we have our proxy war, but keep an eye on it. I don't know how it plays into oil and energy. The whole energy sector, in my opinion, is going to go through a big transformation, and I don't think it's going to be straightforward. I think we're gonna keep an eye on it. We are going to view it from new goggles, because this whole AI grid that we're going to be transformed into is going to require a lot of energy, whether it bumps uranium or solar or plain old crude, there remains to be seen. But that is a very interesting approach. I think that is the next big energy catalyst, as opposed to war, which I'm sure they're going to treat us to. I still go back to my old Harrison excuse me, to my Harrison versus Cleveland playbook here. You can Google it and see the whole story and what happened after regarding this election. Okay, since it's one big show. Nevertheless, next week we have a 4-day week. This is the first time ever they closed the market for Juneteenth. That, if I'm not mistaken, used to be Columbus Day. Right? Okay? Whatever that means. So we're missing a day in the week. That's going to influence premiums quite a bit. I am not looking to swing a lot in this market unless I see something the coming week. Reason being, a lot of these moves, whether it's Apple, whether it's Nvidia, this and that, happen after hours. But if it doesn't happen, you get killed on theta. So there's obviously a rumor that SMCI is going to be the next one into the NASDAQ. Now, this NASDAQ chart is going up so fast that soon it's going to start reversing days and probably roll backwards if it doesn't get a pullback. We have this big gap here. NASDAQ has 3 gaps and SPX has 2, I believe. And I don't usually look a lot on NASDAQ because I just trade tech individuals. But I'm looking at this here, and I'm just going to say it. This needs to pull back, whether it's to test the 9 that's coming right up on this gap, which is exactly where SPX. I would assume this week we close the gap and then bounce, and that's kind of the play I'm looking for. So after a big pop up, whether on pretty much every FOMC here, you see a boom. we get this tight consolidation range every time. Okay, you see here, boom. Then we consolidate. Then there's always a big sell the next week at some point. That's buyable. The dip, see here. So I'm kind of waiting for this week that we get a big sell and we buy the dip. We write the puts down and okay, but there's no point in sitting in slow grind, sitting in puts and getting absolutely cooked here. So usually these sells start a little bit sometimes pre-market, but let me find you a good example what we're going to be looking for as far as let's go back here. Let's actually scroll back to one of these big cells here. So here's a great example. For instance, you have this nice up day, and then right at open, these let's see if we can come back here. Let's find a big cell. We got to do it on the 5 minute, otherwise the example is not as awesome. Yeah, let's go here. So basically what you're looking for is you're looking for a pretty harsh turn in these MAs right at open down to get this flush, right? That is then buyable. So that's what I'm looking for this week. Usually those puts pay anywhere between 500 to 1,000. Can this just keep going straight up? Absolutely. But I think and regarding our early low and early high, I gotta post it later because it's never missed this day in history in June this week. So I need to see how it recalibrates that, but I'll have it before open on Monday. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. Maybe we just pick out a day, or if that day is then moved. So that's going to be very interesting. So we're dealing with that this week. There's no earnings as far as, so that's kind of my game plan, is to look for a gap fill and then buy that dip, but also be mindful of it is completely possible that we just keep going up, and I'll show you the reason why. There's a few things here. And excuse my spy chart, it's getting more pink and pink. I just keep marking these levels as we go because on the way down they're gonna be absolute gold. The reason being, we are forming this hourly megaphone. And usually what happens with these is you get crazy volatility and you trade, you see it's marked 3 times and you marked it on the down 1, 2, 3. So you start trading within this, boom, absolutely crazy moves, and then it breaks to one side and usually comes and retests that side and then keeps going higher. Obviously my bias is to the upside. I don't care what anyone says. This is exit liquidity 101 here. Why? Because freaking Nvidia put in all-time highs, hit 132. So a few names I'm keeping on watch. Same guys is I just don't know. After Meta spent what seemed to be an eternity here, it has chopped up. Very hard trade. I do think we get a push up here at some point, so that's on watch. I don't know if Nvidia is going to keep going higher. SMCI, clearly something is going on. There is no explanation for this huge move, and it's holding up here and bull flagging. So I would love for this, since this is besides Avgo one of the last ones to have crazy crack options, worth taking a stab. ARM's going to be included on after OPEX following Monday into the indices, so that's going to be one to load next week into close. Usually after OPEX the low is that following Tuesday if OPEX is a sell. Now this week also AMD is loading and loading and loading. I don't know for how long, but I would be very surprised if AMD doesn't start absolutely flying soon with all these other cheap stocks being up there, I mean, it is lagging big time. So definitely on watch. The only way I play this whole shit show is some AMCs in the money and see if we pop and go crazy. I have very little of it. Played Netflix on Friday. We called that open move, even though it would have been sweet to swing it, but we still got pretty much same entry because it sold off. So called that move. That was great. I don't know why I have snow up here. Maybe someone said it was moving. I'm not really gonna play it, but I'm watching Amazon. Since all these FANG names seem to be going through who wants to play all-time high next. Obviously, you have a Head and Shoulders here, but on the next bump, once this goes, it's gonna go pretty hard. I think put in new all-time highs. Hood clearly chilling, but you see more bullish crypto news every day, and Bitcoin having this random pullback. Keeping an eye on here, maybe even down to the 21. I think we need that, and then we start loading it. Microsoft, I never trade Microsoft, but yeah, performing quite well. This sack of shit, I know that once I'm too over looking at it, it'll go, so always looking at it. And I do think that here's the problem with IWM. Like 30% of the businesses in IWM are going to be absolutely killed by this AI revolution. That's the problem. The same thing with the Dow Jones. A lot of those businesses are going to be absolutely decimated by AI. So when people, this is not the internet, people. This is like, they're changing the society into literally prison planet, okay? Anyway, Tesla, if I know people are kind of laughing at Elon and this and that, but I do believe him, no doubt in my mind. The chart says it all. Pop, come back test, the breakout. This is going to fly next week. Why do I think that? Did the post disappear? Anyway, they're rolling out, they're going to try, they're going to roll out the Tesla taxi program in Shanghai, and they're going to test it. Okay? So this at some point here is going to do that move, and we want to ride it. Okay. Apple, absolutely insane last week. Definitely is going to come down and test the 9, no doubt about it. Probably goes down to here at some point, and that is going to create a big rotation within tech, I'm sure. JPM, we had this sell, just like we played that sell and bounce and that sell and bounce right in the 9 here. And if you look on the hourly, it's a little bit more clear what occurred here. Come down, you make this is a inverted Head and Shoulders thing here, ding, 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 but also a double bottom. So I would assume it recoups this whole thing. So again, could play it, but I'm probably gonna stick to Friday because there was a 800% move right there on Friday. As far as market tide, picked up end of day. They're being very sneaky with their rotation here. I don't see any like, oh no, the market's gonna crash. I wouldn't listen to those, oh no, market's gonna crash people. Can we get a $10 sell for a day? Yes. That Friday price action, this shit, that is kind of like exhausted, no moves. I mean, I caught the bottom, double bottom on 541s, and I got out of it, and it was nice. And I also played the 543s for 60%, but it was a hard trade. Like, they didn't want to give me any juice. But you see here, this is a bull flag. I wouldn't be surprised if this just blasts off. Another option is literally we go down and fill the gap and then go back up. So that's kind of how I'm going into it next week. They are still loading calls, as you can see, quite aggressively. And we have OPEX on Friday, which is notoriously to be a shit day to trade, unless it isn't. And we haven't had a good OPEX in a long time. And it's also full moon, so there's and you know they usually rip the market higher on a full moon. So if we get a random sell, let's say Thursday down, probably gonna pop it on Friday, or if that sell is Tuesday to Wednesday, we should probably go up. So kind of have to play by ear. Now here's an interesting thing: the NAMO, and especially these the MACD on NAMO, is as low as it was during the low of April. Which low of April are you talking about, Grandpa? This low. How do you do that? I don't know. By implementing a gallon of fuckery sauce. But you can see it right here. So we're down here where we were on the MACD. So what happens when they rip this up higher? Well, the market goes way freaking higher and it goes all the way here. Huh. I know. So my ultimate price target this year was 570, and you're like, yeah, well, you can do that in a month. Yes. So I'm actually are we gonna have crazy pullbacks and this and that? Yes. My new ultimate price that my like stratospheric one is here, according to my calculations. By end of the year. Okay? How do we get there? By cutting a bunch of, I mean, you know, Mister, she wants to start cutting in September. She's the biggest hawk there is. So, just saying. Okay? Bitcoin still, once Bitcoin has done this range now, the next leg's going to be absolutely bonkers, and it's going to take you to 92,000. They're building in a multi-year shelf here, if you haven't realized that yet. They're trapping so many freaking people here. So how it's usually done is you put this in, get a freaking sell down to here. All these fuckers, when it comes back up, jump out because they don't like it anymore, and then it blasts. Okay? So that's kind of what we're looking at next year. I'm going to be doing a lot of day trading and trying to keep it simple next week, which is going to pretty much look like this. Sit on my ass, look for this hammer candle. Here's the best example, even though it's pre-market. Look for that. And if they do this shit where they do pre-market come up, wait for it to come and hold the level here and then catch that move and catch it heavy. So I'll be on voice. When I trade, when I trade shit like this, I don't have time to type out anything at all. If I start typing when this happens, I'll probably have it posted here. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a lot of live on voice. If there's any swings, I'll obviously type them out. That's probably going to be some SMCI or AMD related stuff. And that's it for right now. I'll post the early highs and early lows. Jeez, once I get them. It's my gardener. Anyways. So that's what I'm looking at here for next week. And it's a 4-day week, and it's going to get spicy. And remember, last 2 weeks of June has a possibility of having an actual pullback. And then July is usually very, very volatile. If you don't remember, that's what it's known for. Here, this is last July. pretty crazy moves. June too, but June was just we kept ripping. So if you're looking at June here, last year, this is kind of what we've just done. So I would expect this and this. That's pretty much what I'm looking for. This and this. So let's see if we get that and that. I'll see you on Voice on Monday. God bless and happy Father's Day to all of you.
200% on spike. Boom. Keep going. We're trying to move, baby. $776 billion. Couple concepts, the old concepts on that.